Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and this is another PHP video tutorial for the new Boston. Now, in this tutorial, I'm going to be talking about the str replace function. Now, let's have a look at what this looks like. It's str underscore replace. Now, you've probably already worked out what it does. If not, I'll talk to you a bit about that. The str replace typically takes three arguments. These are the required arguments. The first one is a string that you want to look into. The second is what you want to replace a specific word with, and the last is the words that you'd like to replace. No, in actual fact, it's the other way around. For the string, it's the words that you want to look for. So looking for the words here, what you want to replace, and the last argument is the string that you want to look in. So let's create an example of this. We'll just get rid of this function here. I'm going to create a string up here, and I'm going to make this equal to this is an example, and well, this is a string and is an example. Okay, so what we first of all need to do is create a new variable. You can echo out the function in itself, but it's always good practice to create a new variable. So I'm going to say string, I'm going to create new string equals str replace, and then inside here we can start to put in our parameter, our arguments. So the first one is going to be the word that you want to replace. So I'm going to replace the word is inside of this. Now the next argument is what you want to replace it with, and I'm just going to replace it with nothing. Then the last is where you're looking. So we're looking inside this string variable here, which is equal to this value here. So what we're doing is, in this function, we're looking through the whole string, and we're removing the word is because we're replacing the word is with nothing. So we'll be removing this, we'll be removing this, and we'll also be removing this. So let's have a look, and we'll come down here and echo out new string. Let's tidy this up a bit. Okay, so let's refresh. And you can see that we've removed the is from here, we've removed the is after that, and we've removed the is before the after the and before the an. So what happens if we want to replace a lot of words? So maybe we want to replace is with something and string with something, and maybe even example with something. Now you could come down and copy and paste this and say, oh sorry, didn't mean to delete that, and we could say we want to replace string with nothing as well, and then when we refresh you can see that that goes as well. But you can see what's happened, the is's have come back. So what's going on here is that it's not a great way of well, actually we could change this here to new string and refresh. So that's got rid of both of them. So we're just using the new string before. However, you can see that this is a really horrible, not very nice way of doing things. It's going to be slower, and it's just not going to look right. So there's a simple solution. If you've already looked at arrays, you'll know what arrays are, how they work, and what their uses are. But this is a really useful way to replace many. So we're going to create a variable called find, and we're going to make this an array. Now inside here we're going to create a few variables in the array, a few values of this array that we want to replace. So I'm going to choose three. I'm going to choose is, string, and example. So I want all these words in here to be taken out of here or replaced with something else. So what am I going to put in this value here? We've already selected the value is, but simply I could just put find in there. And what this function is automatically going to do is it's going to look through each one of these and find each one and simultaneously replace them with what you specify here. So let's say I wanted to replace is with nothing, string with nothing, and example with nothing. This function is now ready to work. So let's refresh and see what happens. You can see that that's deleted all three of the words. So now what happens when we want to replace is with something, but we want to replace string and example, or just string or just example with something else? Well, it's exactly the same concept. We can just create a new variable called replace, and we can put the values that correspond to each one. So I want to replace is with is in capitals, string with string in capitals, and I want to get rid of example. So now what we can do is just simply put this replace in here, and now we're all set up with both arrays with the corresponding values that are going to be replaced. So let's refresh, and you can see that it's capitalized the is in the sentence, it's capitalized string, and it's removed the word example. So it's a really flexible way of doing things, and it's obviously better to use an array. Now, why is this function useful, and why would you use it? Now, the example I always give is that you may have a select few words that you don't want to appear in maybe some public posts on your website, and a good example for this is using a bad word filter or a swear word filter. So we could have, say, a list of obscenities in a text document, and we might want to read these in on a line-by-line basis. We automatically then, if we use the file function, we read in a text file with a line-by-line basis and then automatically put into an array. So then you can automatically replace, or you can find within a certain string, and you can automatically replace an array created by different functions. So this is a really useful function in PHP that you'll probably come across at some point. Otherwise, for now, practice with it. If you've already watched my tutorial on opening files and opening up lines of files as an array, then try and incorporate this into it and play around with it and see what you can come up with. And even down here you could try and add some user input, or something that, you know, a user can input a certain amount of text, and then we can delete obscenities or star out obscenities corresponding to each value.